G'day guys, I'm going to take you through Listmap, which is part of the List website. List is the Land Information Systems Tasmania, and the easiest way to get to it is to Google it. So type in List, it's the first entry that comes up. Click on that and we get to the home page for List, Land Information Systems Tasmania. And on there are key services of property and title searches. You have the list map section, which is what we're interested in, list data, the online land dealings, planning schemes online, and using information. There's also a comprehensive help for each of the different sections. Later on I'll take you into the list map help. And there's also the option to log in if you wish. If it's the first time that you're logging in, you will need to register. The benefits of logging in is that you can create some work on one device, computer, laptop, whatever, and then access that later on another device in another location. If you do not log in, you are limited to retrieving information on the same device that it was created on. So if we click on Listmap, and it takes us through to the Listmap page, which is a map of Tasmania. So a bit of a tour of this screen. We can go back home to the original list home page. We can search the maps, i.e. put in Launceston, Hobart, Rosebery, wherever, it'll show you that. The help section is particular to list. It opens up a new browser and it gives you a lot of information about using Listmap, and I'm not going to cover everything in this presentation, so if there's anything I haven't covered you can find out about it here. Let's close that window. To navigate around, to drag your map, pan it, you simply left click and hold and move your mouse. To zoom in, zoom out, I simply use the mouse wheel. If I scroll forward, it zooms in, and it seems to zoom in centered on the cursor. To zoom out, I just scroll the mouse back towards me. There are other options to zoom in, zoom out. You can use the plus key, the minus key over here on the left, or you can click anywhere on this bar and it will zoom in and out. If you're zoomed right in and you don't know where you are, oh my god, where am I? Kenmare Creek, never heard of it. We can zoom back out to all of Tassie, and there we go. We can go back to somewhere we know, and we can also create or track current GPS location, or center on or track our current GPS location. This hand tool that enables panning on the map, so if you're doing something like drawing, which I'll show you later on, and you want to pan the map, you need to activate that in order to do some panning. Over here on the left we have a drop down menu of tools, and in that there is map tools, there is drawing tools, there is export data, but you need an active layer in order to export that, and since we've just started there's no active layers, so I won't show you that. And there are other tools, and one of those is Google Street View, and the other one is the Locate Me tool. I shall turn those off for now. So there's your tools. You can also log in at this stage, and what we have here is the default opening, which is a topographical map of Tasmania. Now for the purpose of this demonstration I'll zoom into an area that I'm familiar with, and that is Mangano, which is in the Fingal Valley, and through which the South Esk River flows, beginning up here in the Mathina Plains Going over the moors of Mount Saddleback, down past Mathina. Mathina was a once prosperous gold mining town. Down through past Fingal, down past Avoca, out past Conara, through Epping Forest, past Nile, onto the Simmons Plains, through Longford, Perth, Hadspen, through Trevellyn Dam, and then finally into the Tamar River. So as I said, we're going to focus mainly on Mangano, which is where the first payable discoveries of gold were in Tasmania. And if I remember, I shall show you, but if I don't remember, they were discovered approximately there, and it's called Grant's Find. And I'll show you that as a mineral occurrence later on. So here we have Mangano, and that's our default base map. Over here we have different base maps. You can have no base layer if you wish. You can have the older TasMap, which is a little bit out of date, a little bit chunky. There's the topographical map, that's the default map. You can have state aerial photography. Again, this is a little bit out of date. It's a mosaic of aerial photographs put together by the state government. A bit more up to date, we can use Google Satellite, and that's not too bad. You can zoom in, scrolling with the mouse wheel, and you can zoom in quite a bit. You can see as we're zooming in, this bar is moving up to the plus, and we're at maximum zoom in there, so it's not too bad, pretty good resolution, but it's a little bit out of date. The reason I know that is because this here is Sailor's Gully, and there are two significant reef systems in here, the Mangano Sovereign Reef System and the Golden Entrance Reef System. And I worked for a company on a small project a couple of years ago called the Mangano Gold Project. It was called the Mangano Gold Mine, and I was a geologist for that project for about 12 months. Unfortunately, that project didn't succeed, I think mainly because the owner of the project was given some bad consultation to start off with, believing that the old timers were going to leave at least 10,000 ounces, which is what you would need for a profitable project these days. Believes that they had left 10,000 ounces or more in the ground, and I can assure you that the old timers weren't going to all that work and leave all that amount of gold in the ground. So unfortunately the program failed, and to prove that, I can add some layers. And to add layers, we click on the layers, add layer, and under imagery we load Esri World Image, and there it is. So that's overlaid that over the base map, which in this case is the Google map, and there you can see there is the evidence of the mine workings. So we've got some tailings dams down here, there's another tailings dam, this was the mill area and the crushing, and then we've got access tracks to the various areas that we were working. Just to finish off on the base maps, you can also have Hillshade. So I've now selected that Hillshade as a base map. Now remember, that's below this layer that we've added. So if I turn this active layer, the Esri World Image layer off, there is a Hillshade as a base map. Now the base map of Hillshade, or Hillshade in general, is very useful. As you can see, it shows pretty much the bare surface of the earth without any vegetation. So what it shows is all the channels, it shows remnants of mining, excavations. You can see them here and here on the hills. You can see roads. You can see evidence of forestry plantations up here. This area has been harvested in the past, and these are the windrows during the harvesting process. Just to prove that, there is the plantations. In certain areas, if you look closely enough, you can actually see evidence of water races. That's actually a road up through there, but with a bit of fine investigation you can actually see remnants of tracks. I did see some water races somewhere, but I'm not going to try and find them at this stage. So this is Hillshade. As you can see, you can zoom in quite a bit. Some areas of the state aren't as good as others in resolution. This area seems to be. Others are a bit more pixelated, and if you come across them, unfortunately there's nothing much we can do about it until they improve the Hillshade dataset. So there it is, that's Hillshade, and that's set as a base map. You could also have topographical grey as a base map. My preferred option is the topographic, and Esri World Image is my preferred satellite view. So we'll add a few more layers. We'll also, in the imagery section of the layer, we can add Hillshade as a layer rather than a base map. So I'll do that. Further back up in the list, under land, parcel and property, under cadastre, we want to add land tenure. Why do we want to add land tenure, you ask? Part of the conditions of having a prospecting license is that if you intend to prospect on private land or land that has a current exploration lease or mining lease, that you must have the landholder or the leaseholder's permission, in written permission that is, in order to do some prospecting. So we need to find out what is the status of the area that we're interested in. So there is land tenure. I'll just sidetrack a little bit. Each of these different layers, if you click on each one, we can change the transparency. As you can see, I'm increasing the transparency all the way up to it's not there, 50% thereabouts, to full on. And in this particular layer, it also has a legend which shows you what the different colours represent. So this here is private freehold, i.e. it's private land. The green area here is a permanent timber production zone, i.e. it's forestry area. The white sections are Crown land, so we are free to prospect on Crown land. Likewise, we're free to prospect in forestry areas, but it is advised to contact the regional forestry office for the area you're going to, just to make sure, to see if there's any activities in the area. It could be log trucks, etc., etc. And we don't want any accidents. That's not to say that you can't work in an active area, but it's good to know that there might be a log truck hurtling around the corner at any moment, and they don't give way to anyone. So that's land tenure. We'll add some more layers. Again, I'm just doing this with a regard to prospecting. So we also, as I mentioned before, we want to know if there's any exploration leases and any mining leases that we may need permission to be on. So under primary industries, under mining, there are several layers that we can add. The first one that we'll add is a category 1 exploration license, which is for metallic minerals and atomic substances. We shall add that, and there it is over here, and you can see that we've got this stippled area already. There are several other exploration license categories. I'm not 100% sure what 2, 3, 4, 5. 6 I believe is geothermal exploration licenses. The other one that we want to put up is mining lease. If you click on it, the orange bar, it'll give you a bit of information, and if you want more information, it'll open up another browser and give you quite a detailed overview of that particular category. So just click that to close that again. So we want mining leases, and we'll bring that up as well, and you can see this one's popped up here as well. So there is a mining lease, and at this stage we know there is an exploration lease over the Mangano areas. Now to find out information, we just simply click on a spot. So if I click here, it identifies the results, and it finds 3 features found in 3 layers. It's found a feature under the land tenure layer, it's found an exploration license, and it's found a mining lease. So if we click on each of these, it's determined that where we've clicked is a permanent timber production zone. It is also has an exploration license over it, and in this case you see it highlights that area when you hover over this section. It's an exploration release area, which means that it was previously an exploration lease, and that lease has been relinquished, and therefore you are able to prospect on an ERA area. If you click on details, it gives you a bit of information about that. If you want to inquire about it, there's a website, email, I beg your pardon, and there's also some links to company reports, and if you wish to open those reports, click on them. There's a bit more detail. You can then download the document, accept the terms and conditions, and then download the document. I won't do that at this point, so I'll just close that. So that was the exploration license, and there's also a mining license, which is this one here, and again there's some small amount of detail in the first results window. If we go to details, we can see the holder of that license is Web Mining Services, and that's the company I used to work for. You can see it was for gold, 470 acres on the land tenure, Crown land, public reserve, state forest, and there's this few files, PDF files that you can download, and you can also print that off if you want to print that information off hard copy. So we'll close that. Some other layers that we need to have a look at. Go back up to cadastre. The other one that I normally bring up is the cadastral parcels, which is just pretty much the boundary lines of the land tenure. So if I turn the land tenure layer off, you can still see there's the boundary lines, i.e. fences, property boundaries, lease boundaries, etc. If you zoom out too far, you can't determine the resolution of that, and it will strike out the parcels. Zoom back in. We also want to add, back down in the mining section, Mineral Occurrences. So if we click on that, it's the Mineral Occurrences data set from MRT, Mineral Resources Tasmania, which was formerly known as the Mines Department. And if we click on that, it opens up another web browser and gives us a bit more information on that particular data set. So we shall add that, and there it is, and we see some small icons appear. So the different icons The purple ones with the picks facing up are hard rock mines, and the green ones with the spades pointing down are the alluvial workings. So before we go into the details of these, I'll just play around with some of the layers to give you an idea of the power of list. So as I said, you click on each particular layer and it opens up to give you more information, and there's a transparency slider. So we can adjust the transparency to somewhere where we can just see it. We can adjust the transparency of the hillshade. See the base map coming through. If I turn the Esri World image on, we can adjust the transparency of that. I'll leave that on full. And if I turn the land tenure off and the expirations, whoops, you can filter or search different layers. I don't use this too much, but you have to have a bit of an understanding on query syntax in order to use this. It's a bit more in depth. So there we have a combination of hillshade, which is showing you the darker southern sides. The hillshade was taken from a northern aspect, so it shows as if the sun was shining on the north facing slopes and shading the south facing slopes. So with that hillshade transparency, we can play with it, and as you see, if we give it 100%, the Esri World image looks rather flat, but as we give it a little bit, it starts to give us a bit of definition. And around about 60 to 65 is pretty good. Our cadastral parcels we can turn on. There they are. Now I said earlier I'd show you where the first discovery of gold was in Tassie. Well, that's payable to gold, that is. And it's called Grants Fine, and it's in Grants Creek, which flows into Tower Hill, which flows into the South Esk. So if we click on that, and it comes up with the mineral occurrence, and there's Grants Fine. If we click on details, it shows you, gives you a little bit of information on the deposit and any documents that you can download. This document, GSB01, is a wealth of information on the Mangano area. If I click on that, it was published by the state government. The author was William Twelvetrees back in 1907. This information here just gives you a bit of further keywords, what the deposits he covers, the minerals that he describes, and the activities. So if you want to download it again, accept the terms and conditions. It's a fairly small file, only 7 meg, and download it just by clicking on that. I'll do that to give you a demonstration. So it takes a few seconds to download. I've already downloaded this before, but I'll show you anyway. So there it is, PDF file, usual things, you can zoom in and zoom out, blah blah blah. If you want to save it as, right click, save as, and save it wherever you wish it to be. It's a good idea to keep the identifier as GSB01, and then put something like underscore Mangano underscore 12trees, and that way down the track when you're searching through your files and you want to find different things, you've got an idea of where the area is, who wrote it, and you also got an idea of what the MRT call it. If you happen to go and search for some documents later and you see GSB 01, you know that you've already got that one, so there's no point in downloading it again. So I'll cancel that, I've already got it. These older documents, there's a wealth of information in there about, gives you the introduction of the previous literature, so there's further information on earlier reports, gives you a description of the general land, gives you a description of the geology. There's quite a bit of information in there. The economic geology, so in this particular case it's giving us a description of how the gold is formed. In this case it's in quartz veins. A bit of the history, so the first discovery of the purple gold in Tasmania was made at Mangano in February 1852, and it was about 150 yards below the bridge where that just here, there's the bridge. Down here we've got a scale indicator, so 200 meters is there, so that's about 150 yards. One other thing I forgot to tell you was you're referencing your northings and eastings, you can change it to latitude, longitude, decimal, or degrees, minutes, seconds, or a 6-figure grid reference. Back to the document. So yeah, a little bit of history about the different mines. He talks about the Mangano Gold Reef mine, which is the Sovereign shaft, Sovereign workings, some few old photographs, lots of information, interesting just to read about it. And some of these, if I scroll down to the bottom, also have plans, and I bet you, oh yeah, there we go. So there's a geological sketch of the Mangano goldfield. There's Mangano, and we've also got some plans of the levels of the Mangano reef mine. There's a long section. There was a number of adits that went into the side of the hill. There was a shaft at the top of the hill, a number of winzes. A winze connects two adits. A winze is underground, a shaft is vertical from the surface. An adit is a tunnel that goes in horizontally, and there was also quite a deep shaft that they sunk some 900 feet, I believe it was, but there wasn't a lot of gold down there, so they've done a lot of work to chase the gold, but there wasn't. And these stippled areas here represent where the gold was and the areas that they stoped out. There's a golden entrance, so that was a reef system parallel to the Sovereign system, about 300 meters to the east, and that's the bottom of that document. So quite a lot of information and interesting reading, especially in the older reports, also in some of the more modern company reports, interesting to read. You can get some idea of the grade of some of the mines in other reports. 12 Trees did a lot of work in the area. If I scroll out, not only the Mangano goldfields but the Mathina goldfields up through here, Dan's Rivulet all up through here, Dossett River, Branksome, the gold belt in Tasmania or in the northeast. This one through here, you can see there's a belt that runs from Mangano up to the coast at Lyndhurst. But as I said, there's 12 Trees and a number of other government geologists back in the time have done heaps of reports, and several reports that you'll come across, they'll give grades and crushings and how much gold they got out of how many tons, and a lot of very rich gold mines in this area, and there's a lot of mines that were not that profitable. Okay, so if we go into an area that we're interested in and we want to do some notes and make some waypoints so that we can get there using our GPS, we can start using some drawing tools. So we can add text. Simply it comes up with this little dot. Wherever you want to put the text, just click. It comes up with a text entry. So we'll just type in text for the purpose of this. Once that's there, we can edit it, so we need to select it. If we want to pan again in the map area, we need to go back up to the panning tool in order to do that. So we need to select the text. You can see it's selected now. We can change the text if we wish by typing something else. We can change the color of that text, and we can change the text size. Left is small, right is big. We can move it by grabbing the green arrows and moving it, and we can also rotate it however we wish. If we want to delete it, we simply select it and delete it. We can add a point or a flag, a waypoint, whatever. Again, we use the selection tool, and we can change the point size, small, big. We can change the transparency to full. But as you can see, there are 3 colors you can choose from: green, blue and black, and 4 different styles of point. So if you want to use a flag, for example, you'll also notice it gives you your grid reference in Map Grid Australia Zone 55 in easting and northing. That's what most GPS devices use these days. And if you add the plus, it'll actually add it. And again, you can select that. You can change the text size. You can change the text color. And by selecting it, we can move it out of the way of that point if you wish. And again, we can rotate it. To delete, simply delete it. Same with the point. We can delete it. You can create lines. You double click to end. So simply click, click, double click. Again, we need to select it. Tells you the length. If you plus the length, it'll put the length in text on the page for you. We can change the width of the line, the color and the transparency. We can mark out an area. So click 1, 2, it's like a rubber band, 3, 4, and double click to end. And once we select that, it's similar. We can change the transparency, we can change the fill color, the border width, the border color and the transparency of the border. And it also gives you the area and the perimeter, and you can add them to the map if you wish by pressing the plus symbol. We shall delete those. Come on, delete. We'll move that out of the way. Delete, select, and delete. Likewise, you can draw an ellipse. Don't know why you want to draw an ellipse or a circle. With the circle, you select the center, put in a radius in meters, and there's a 50-meter radius circle. Again, you can modify that. You can pull out one of the nodes if you wish. Delete that. You can also import spatial data, shapefiles, map info, GPX files. If you've got some waypoints saved on GPS, you can get them onto your PC or whatever. You can import them, and likewise you can export markups to various formats that are compatible with GPS and spreadsheets. Okay, so once you've plotted up some tracks from a known point and some waypoints, whatever else you want to put in there, we can print these off to PDF, which is under the map tools. It's this icon here, the printer. Click on that. In the title you can put in a title, your page size A4 or A3, its orientation, it's whether it's landscape or portrait, a few other choices there. We'll go portrait A4, hit OK, it generates a PDF. You can save that somewhere on your computer. We can open it, and there is a PDF of the work that you've done. So then you can print that off. You've got a hard copy to take with you in the field for reference. And believe me, things look different in reality when you're there in the field as compared with what we see on the maps. So there's the drawing tools. Once you've finished plotting out some bits and pieces and maybe got some waypoints and some areas that defined, you want to save your work. So we go to create our shareable bookmark, call it something appropriate, Mangano, and that's saved. So if I was to come back tomorrow, don't have to log back in because it's the same computer. I can open up Mangano. There it is, and you can also share it on Facebook, Twitter, email. You can go for any other websites, social media websites, or you can delete. I'll delete a few here. These are a few earlier attempts at this demonstration. Now for example, and there we go. So to give you an example, you saw there was two projects that I'd done previously. If I want to go to them, we'll go to the Albertson area, or the New River. Takes a little bit to load up, and there it is. So it's a little bit of research I was doing a few weeks ago on the New River area. Again, all these layers are still with us, except it hasn't saved the mining. Mineral Occurrences one that I wanted, this one. So we'll add that. So for future, I'll go straight to Map Tools and save that, and it should save that now with the mineral occurrences in it. And there you can see the mineral occurrences, a couple of alluvial deposits through here and a lot of hard rock. Unfortunately when I got there it was completely overgrown with blackberries and just near impossible to get anywhere near that creek. So that was a bit of a waste of 3 or 4 hours. But wealth of information. You can see some waypoints I've put there so that I can find my way to get to here using my GPS. With the drawing tools you can turn them off just like that, just like you can any other layer. So there we go, there's a bit of a overview of Listmap and what you can do with it. If I just zoom out, you'll see that there are many hundreds, if not thousands, of mineral occurrences in this tiny little state we call Tasmania. And just to finish off, I'll give you an example of the power of Hillshade and Esri World Image. Again, playing with the transparency, You can see the effect that has. It brings the map to life. So there you have it, Listmap. I hope you find this video helpful. Gives you some information that you can use in your prospecting adventures, and I hope all your pans have pickers. Thanks for watching.